Hello, everyone, and welcome to the MNSpiritCast. Hopefully, everybody is doing good because we haven't seen you guys in a couple of weeks. That's right. The last time we seen you guys was in Hawaii, and that was a awesome show. And don't forget, at the end of the show tonight, there will be a All American question about that Hawaii episode. So, if you don't know what the All American question is, stick around until the end of the show, and you'll find out. It's actually pretty cool. So. We're making the transition from Hawaii over to Idaho, back in the main states here. And we have a fantastic team. I believe we have the founder of Southeastern Idaho Paranormal Society out of Idaho Falls. So let's go ahead and give him a warm welcome and welcome into the show. Welcome, Jim.
Thank you.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, no problem. And we were supposed to do the show last week. Something came up, and we're here now. So I say we have a good show, and hopefully everybody enjoys it. So we have a couple of viewers already. So first of all, you are the founder. Or before we get started, here is one of our members, Sarah. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
So, Sarah, this is Jim from Southeastern Idaho Paranormal Society out of Idaho Falls. So, great show planned for tonight. So, Jim, why don't we start with you telling us a little bit about your team?
Sure. It was started back in 2007, I believe. I was actually one of the founding members, but almost everybody else has moved along. So I'm the only one that's left as president of the group. But we first started off and just people just trying to get together, just trying to, talk about paranormal stuff. That ranged from everything from ghosts to Bigfoot to UFOs, all those things encompassing.
Mm-hmm.
And but as the years have gone by, we've had different people, of course, in the team that have come and gone. I'm essentially, me and my family are the last ones left on the team, but due to illness, I've had to stop doing it at the moment, but I still like talking about it.
Mm-hmm. That's an interesting thing to talk about. I mean, we've never visited Idaho before. It's definitely, an interest, and we would like to, maybe get something over there in Idaho, but we've never visited it before, and I don't know what your history is like, but, I've seen quite a few places from Idaho that could potentially be haunted. So, what is your haunting count over there in Idaho? Like, are there a lot of places, or?
Well, I would have to say there's a good amount. I think most of the ones that you're going to see are, of course, Boise State Penitentiary is probably one of the most well-known. You've probably seen that on several different paranormal group team TVs, channels, stuff like that, on shows. Then we have several mining towns and ghost towns that are probably pretty good places to go. You're going to find a lot more outdoor areas, and you're going to find a lot more stuff that's involved with places that have a lot of, a lot of minerals in the ground. Like there's a place called...
Are you talking about like Native American history?
Well, not just Native American, but also just the fact that you have like natural springs that can contain a lot of energy. Through the minerals that are coming through it, like quartz and everything else that would collect all that stuff. But in our area, we do have a lot of Native American history along that area.
So are you saying you have psychic impression over there a lot too?
Not so much that, as much as like we have lots of reports from people that have gone to different places like that. Most of the places I have gone through personally, and I've only been here mostly in Southeast Idaho, tend to be along we live in kind of a volcanic area where we have a lot of lava rock on the roof and everything. And so we actually found that in 3 of our investigations we did, they were almost in a direct diagonal line in this one city. They all had volcanic basements and that had dirt ground in them and stuff like that.
Right. Well, volcanic rock is naturally active. A lot of people don't know that. It's just naturally active. So yeah, that does surprise me.
Yeah, and then we also have Soda Springs and Lava Hot Springs, which are 2 places that have a lot of seismic activity, but also they have the hot springs themselves, and people go there and have hotels there, and we've had people who have friends who've gone there and said that they've had hauntings there as well.
Mhm.
So
Now, sorry, Jim, I don't mean to cut you off, but
no,
before I forget this, do you think maybe those volcanoes or whatever, since you're in sort of a volcanic area, could potentially amplify the paranormal activity?
I believe so. I'm a huge
Well, even the hot springs that he said
Mhm.
they have out there is intense.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am a huge I don't know how you I'm a huge believer in residual hauntings, whether it be emotional, whether it be whatever.
Like
I
a
would,
psychological thing, like an imprint.
yeah, an imprint. In fact, I think that the minerals in the area, I think, probably help that. Like we were talking
Oh, they
volcanic,
do.
they do that so much. I just feel like that's probably one of the biggest things. I don't see, as far as activity, as far as like, intelligent hauntings, we've only had a couple that have actually acted that way. But for the most of the part, a lot of the other ones seem to act more like they're collections of emotions, a collection of things that just seem to be occur over a certain something, just like triggers it.
So
So,
your actual intellectual like investigations, what do they say to you?
well, I don't actually myself have the I don't really I don't feel anything, but in our voice recordings that we've had, the voices that we'll hear is like, it's always kind of like there's a short sentence that'll occur, but it's never been anything that seems like it responds directly to us. The one that we've had that seems to be the most is the fact that it doesn't like us being there. And
Mhm.
you've heard that before. I don't know if you guys have had that, but we've had a couple places where it's just like, and we aren't even actually active at the appointment, and we've actually had a voice where it's telling us to get out of the room, and we're like in another room saying this, and then it's telling us.
Well, you happen to be talking to a psychic who's been violated in every which way.
Uh-huh.
So
And so you had those occurrences happen before, like you just feel like, oh, I just don't want you to be here, that kind of thing.
oh no, I've been told to do a few things in my position.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I can second that. But so, Jim, we have a question for you. Cara wants to know, what is your thoughts on residual energy versus true residual haunting?
That's a tough one. Do we consider like residual energy kind of like what happens after? What do you guys consider that term?
I consider it psychic energy. I consider it the soul imprint.
Okay. So if that's the case, then I would have to believe that. So we did a long-term investigation, and I'm sorry if this is going to be long-winded, with a local haunted attraction. And one of the things we noticed during that time is that as the attraction got more, the more active it became afterwards. And this was not a known residual haunting of any kind. This was a place that we actually took stuff from another place that was where they had moved. And it seemed like some of those residual emotions came over there with it. Some of that energy came with it.
Do you think it was attached to the object?
I think some of it was. I don't think everything that came from over there came with it, but it did. Now, we did have another case where we did have what I felt was a residual haunting, but was because it was a trailer house that her father had lived in there probably for 50 years. And he did, and she would say that after he passed away, things were still happening within his home. And I don't feel that those two things were happening in the same way, because one seemed like it was a consistent kind of thing that was happening in the residual haunting. The energy thing seemed to pick up as more energy was provided to it.
So can I ask you a question leading into this? Are you gifted yourself? Do you have psychic ability?
I don't feel that I do. I've never really felt that I do. The only thing I've ever felt I can do is if I can feel if there's something bad in the area, you know what I'm saying, evil or something like that. But I've never
like you feel it lurking, like you feel it over your shoulder, like
I can feel energy moving through places. Like I can feel like when we're doing an EVP session, I can tell when there's something there, and then I can tell when it's left. But I don't have anything else other than that. That's the most that I've ever done it. I try to keep myself as scientific based as possible, so I can collect all the data. And then I
Oh,
have my wife is is very empathic. You know, she's very good at that. Um, and so I kind of count on them. But we've had other people in the past who are much more open to that than I am. I just never felt I had that gift.
so would you
Sure.
say your practices are more like you go with your intuitive path of people, or do you go with like where you're getting the activity, like on your machines and whatever?
I try and look at both ways. The main thing I try and do, so when I first got into this, I was sitting there thinking, oh my gosh, there's going to be so many hauntings. Everything's haunted is essentially what I felt due to my past, you know, things happening to me. But as I did more investigations, I started noticing there was less things that I found that were haunted that I thought would be, and other things that were haunted that weren't or had activity. And so it changed the way I viewed things in that way. And so what I found myself doing is that during an investigation, I did my best to try and keep people who were with us who were new from clouding what was happening at the time. Sometimes you could hear they would think that this is going to happen, and I try to make sure, are you sure this?
So you guys are big into debunking everything? Like you guys go through and like debunk everything?
No, no. What we try and do is we try and just gather everything, information first. We'll go through and we'll do a baseline, and then, but we do try and make sure, okay, listen, this is a logical reason for it, but we're not going to say, hey, you're, we try not to ever tell them that your feelings are not real, what you're feeling right now. We just say, this is something that could be happening for you or something like that. But we still try and do as much scientific, logical kind of things to it as well.
Okay, so like what would be your message to a client? If I was your client, what would you tell me if I was going through a haunting?
Okay. Can I give you an example of a case we had?
Yep.
Okay. So we had a case where this family was actually living in their living room because they were so afraid to go living in their bedrooms. Anytime they walked past in their hallway, even past the bathroom, they would get so scared that they would get sick and nauseous and everything, right? And so this was just maybe our second or third actual investigation. Well, this family, I mean, when we went to their home had their beds were in their living room.
I've been there. I've been there. Trust me, I've been there. I get
And
it. Yeah.
so it's kind of like we felt so bad. We're like, oh my gosh, you know, I've been afraid before in my life, but I've never been that afraid. And so we went there making sure that we understood. We made them think we're not thinking you're stupid because you're sleeping in your living room and telling
Oh
you
no,
that.
it happens. Trust me. Been there. It's a psychic. Been there.
And so we told them, okay, well, we'll do everything we can. We found out the history of the place. We found out that there had been 2 suicides there within 2 years prior to them moving there. And they were actually brothers. One had killed himself a year after the other in that same home. And so first off, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be one of those places that something's going to be occurring.
Right.
And so the main thing we didn't want to do is we did not want to deny any feelings that they were having at this place. They were all family members who had traumatic experiences happen recently.
Well, and I think it's important you point that out. We are Mental Health Awareness Month, and it's very important that you are very genuine to these families because they are experiencing what they're experiencing.
Yes. Yeah. And the last thing we want to do is make them feel, you know, like, you know, why are we telling you this? Because so many people, one of the reasons I got into this, because I know there's people out there who are scared and are afraid to say that there's something wrong with their place. Right.
Right.
And you can find a comfort
But it's also the loving memory of our family member.
Yes.
So we're going to always love them up the best way we know how.
Yeah. And so we found all their things, issues that they were talking about. And we did our investigation, and it took us a little bit to do it because this was one of our first times doing it. But after we did it, we kind of came also with some things before we left and gave them some things to try. And so we also found some immediate readings right there that showed that there was maybe possibly a bare wire in the hallway causing the electromagnetic issue.
So are you telling me when you're going in these investigations, it's important not only to point out and identify how the client feels, but for us to also leave our mark and heal the client if they wish?
Exactly. I mean, for me, that was the main thing, is when we leave them, I want to make sure, you know, that first of all, they know that we're not leaving them forever. If they need us back, we'll be back. But the main thing is I want to make sure that we're leaving them in a better place than when we we met them. And so with this particular group, this particular family, you could tell just how much terror they had, and it was I was like, no, we got to help these people in some form, right?
Well, I mean, in basic psychology says if you're huddling in the living room as humans, as a family, something's really going on right there.
Yeah.
There's some cohesive right there going on psychology point.
Yeah. And as we found out more about the family history as well, we had found out that the daughter had recently been had a recent traumatic event, and so we're thinking, okay, well, maybe this is part of it as well. So we did the investigation. We made some things noticing that they had animals that were just kind of roaming free within the house, and using the bathroom in the house and stuff like that.
Did they have an attachment?
I don't believe so. I think what happened is that when we did our investigation, we found that they had such high EMF meetings that the place that they had the most thing was walking behind their stove that was in a hallway. As they were coming through, they were getting the worst feelings in the hallway, and it was right across.
Yeah, that's not uncommon. Yeah.
And so one of the things they found is they talked to the landlord, and the landlord found that there was a bare wire behind there, and that was causing such a high EMF meeting that they were doing. But the fact that they were that sensitive is a whole different story. Not everybody would be so sensitive that they would get sick and they would get terrorized by that feeling of it.
Right. It's an electrical. It's like a psychic, electrical magnetic feeling. That's how we know what's in the room with us.
Exactly, because sometimes it's what you feel, a natural kind of thing like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the whole idea why we use EMF meters and stuff like that. It's not just it's for both reasons. It's to do the scientific reading of it, and it's also, this is happening while we're here.
I mean, there's a fascination, no doubt, about having humans that can do what machines do, because I outdid Sparky.
Yeah.
On Global Ghost Hunt. I outdid Sparky. Anyway, that's beside the point. But it is amazing what humans can feel versus what, when you walk in the ground. Marcus and I was having this conversation. When you walk in the ground, it's amazing what you can feel versus actually just standing there and doing an investigation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's incredible, like you said, the feelings that you can get sometimes. I don't feel, like I said, I don't consider myself gifted in any way as far as that goes, and it's probably good for me to do that because my family, almost everybody in my family else did. All my wife and kids are, so they get it mostly. They must have get from my wife's side.
You know what? I love them, but I feel very sorry for them too. Trust me, being there, that's too. I know how hard that is.
It's difficult. Our youngest son had a really hard time when he first developed it.
Oh, it's a hard pill to swallow. Yeah, I get it.
He's essentially shut his down though, so it doesn't get to him. He was probably one of the most gifted.
Yeah, I did that too. It didn't work.
So since we're on the investigation subject, I also think this question ties in really good with it.
Sure.
This one. Not sure if they asked this yet, but what do you feel towards apps or other newer devices?
Do you feel like they're fake or are they good? Are they good to go? Which ones do you prefer to go to?
I like using the tools rather than the apps. And only because.
Okay, how about Ghost Hunter tool? I use Ghost Hunter.
I can't remember if that was the one I used or not. There was one that I used, and it was mostly just to kind of, as you're doing the EVPs, and it would come back and it would give you a possible thing that they were trying to say, kind of like what is it, the Ovilus kind of sense kind of thing, right?
Yeah, yep.
And so
I've used the Necronomicon box, yeah.
And so I've tried, we tried those couple things. Now, most of the time, I didn't really feel that it really gave us anything. But the thing I have,
what kind of equipment do you guys use? Let's ask this: what kind of equipment do you guys use?
Okay, so the main thing we use is, of course, we use video cameras. We use voice recording. I use EMF meters. I use thermometers, the laser, and the handheld ones to try and keep ideas of the temperatures. You guys probably know what it's like, Minnesota, Idaho, we probably both get really hot, really cold.
Yes.
Oh, yes. I've been in a snowstorm with you guys.
And so,
my own snowstorm, just saying, from Minnesota, yeah. No.
And so when you feel, something that's normal when you're really cold, when if you get a warm feeling or if it gets a little bit colder, hey, this is a little bit different than I was feeling a few minutes ago. You get that
We have 70-degree weather in Minnesota, and I got long sleeves on. I'm always cold, so I'm the wrong person to talk about this.
Well, see, that probably makes it better when something touches you. You're probably like, oh man, that's really cold.
I get marks. That's Marcus. I get marks every time. I get bruised every time.
Oh yeah. Oh man.
Oh yeah.
But I honestly feel a lot better towards tools, actual handheld tools that we can have.
Someone pointed out the importance of having a true EMF versus a cheaper Amazon model kind. It's a privacy to get a good one, but supposed to be much more reliable. So which one's more reliable? Like the one you get on Amazon or like the actual tools? Kara's asking questions.
So I had a couple of them that I really liked, and one of the things that and you guys know this too, you can't get very expensive stuff when you're like us, and you're just trying to do it as a volunteer, kind of we don't do it professionally. But
here's the importance: always tip your psychics.
We've only had one with us at all that come with us. We only ever had one. That came with us, and it was a really good experience, but she's the only one that ever came with us. But the ones that I found usually are under $50 at Amazon, and I've even had a couple that I've bought from.
So you prefer to shop Amazon when you're buying tools?
Yes. My cameras I buy from eBay. That's where I buy the Sony digital ones that have the infrared. So
you also get protection that way, right?
How's that?
Well, if you buy something and they don't show it, you can actually ask for your money back, right?
Oh no, I've never tried that before.
Oh, trust me.
And
trust me, yeah.
I have noticed that towards the end when we were investigating, they were starting to get better tools that would do multi things. In fact, my daughter gave me a EMF meter that was also a thermometer at the same time.
I got a joke for you.
Oh boy.
You know how to find a psychic?
Huh.
I don't want you to go ask her. You know why?
Why?
Because she doesn't even know if you're coming or going.
Oh,
My freedom meal I've read this week. Don't even ask.
With that being said, why don't we move on to the next question?
Go for it.
You had to throw something in there, didn't you? So since this is our season 4 of this show, let's move to a little more exciting thing that you would like to talk about here, maybe, and that would be, what are 4 of your bucket list places, not only in Idaho? Mainly, are there 4 in Idaho, or what is 4 places you want to go
and
to?
What are you willing to pay for me to go to?
You don't get to go if I don't.
Oh, let's see. That's kind of a tough one. I'd have to say one of them would. I've always, seen they always talk about like the is it Queen Victoria or Queen Elizabeth? I don't know if the boat there in California.
Oh, the Queen Mary.
The Queen Mary. That always seemed like that'd be really interesting to me.
Yeah.
Let's see what
I want a good old fashioned prison or a good old fashioned mental house.
Yeah. See, and that's the thing there too, is that there's a couple places like that I think that would be interesting. Waverly was always something that I thought would be interesting to go to.
Waverly might be fun.
Ashmore Estates seems like that's a really good place for investigators, since they've got it.
What is Ashmore Estates? Is like a mansion? What is it?
It's essentially, from what I understand, it's a lot like what Waverly is. It's a large campus, but they've actually taken that and they've actually developed so that they can rebuild everything by using funds for having investigators go there. So they've made it very investigator friendly. They've put the wiring in the buildings, so that way you can actually have a spot where you can put all your home room as to put all your equipment, and then you go into the other places, and
Sorry, are you telling me there's places catering to ghost hunters?
Yes, and
are you serious?
That's what I love about some of these historic sites that are doing that, because
I'm in love right now. I'm totally in love. You're buying my ticket. I'm heading out there.
Yeah, it seems like it'd be really a good place. It was one of those places too. It's been investigated by a couple of teams as well.
I gotta take the spear hunters. Their baggage. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just messing. Oh my goodness, you just rolled like-
Well,
Yeah,
with
no,
that
that's
being
amazing.
said, see me after the show.
Oh no, I'm in trouble.
I got your baggage right here.
I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble.
I agree with Cara here. She says, let's all meet up at Topeka Palace.
So where's that at? That's for certain. Oh, Istanbul, Turkey. Okay.
In Istanbul, Turkey.
Some crazy things happen there. Okay, Kira. Yeah, let's not have crazy things happen on your psychic. You know better.
Yeah, I think any of those places are, much older historic places. You can only imagine how much is there. If we have something that can occur in, in an older prison or an older, asylum or something like that, you can only imagine what's like in some place that's been there for thousands of years or something like that.
Yeah, I can.
I mean, imagine, like, say, the Colosseum at night, the Roman Colosseum at night. With all that there. Can you imagine what it'd be like if it was silent all around, what you could possibly hear in something like that?
Right.
Yeah, I can. I have an old blood type.
Well,
and that's a good example of a residual, right? A good example of residual.
Yeah.
I would think so. I also think, imagine the same thing with a mausoleum. Because it's
you
quiet.
Guys don't even know insane energy that comes off of graveyards, everything. Like, there's a certain point where you look at the shit and you go, not today. I was like, you go, not today.
Yeah.
Ottoman Empire, huh? That sounds
interesting. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, you figure, any of those places that had to do with the older empires, the older battles that occurred between different empires and stuff like that. You can only imagine what happens in
the Alamo. I've been down to Texas. The Alamo. Okay, Texas.
Yeah.
You're gonna shout out. The Alamo was amazing because I got a psychic walking on there. Just saying, but the Alamo was amazing.
Yeah.
Well, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I said that'd be really cool.
Oh, okay. But one place I've always wanted to go. Just picture this, and this may be a little far-fetched for right now, but imagine the pyramids over in Egypt. They have
wow, that'd be insane. Tokyo for me would be insane. Hawaii for me would be insane.
Yeah, any of those digs, honestly, any of those dig sites that they do as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, look at
Cambodia. Cambodia would be awesome.
Well, look at all the people they mummified over in Egypt,
Exactly. Yeah.
So,
okay. Well, okay. You guys are cute. Anyway.
Moving on.
Let's talk about mystical Wicca bull crap. Okay.
Oh, okay. Well, so, Jim, my next question for you. You might have said this already, I don't know, but what does your team specialize in? Do you guys specialize in investigations, cleansings, all that? Oh, yeah, and the catacombs as well while we're on the subject.
Yeah, exactly.
That would be fun to go to. But, so what are the specific things that you specialize in, and what is your pre-investigation setup mode like?
Okay, so I would have to say mostly it's just I don't feel that I've never want to put out there that we're cleansed, that we cleanse, or that we can make things stop in any way, shape, or form. Sure. I think we're kind of like we go in there, we do the triage. We go in there and we say, okay, you have a problem. You want to talk to somebody? We go and we talk to them. We make them feel like they're being listened to. And we try and make sure that if we can't do it, we will try and find out. So we reach out to other teams who do.
So are you telling me that your team is more about the healing of the human side of it?
I guess to the listening side of it. Yeah. I mean, we just want to make sure that people feel heard. When I was a child, I had a haunting experience and nobody would listen to me that it happened.
Right.
Sure.
Right. It becomes traumatic. It becomes traumatic at a certain point. I mean, obviously some of us think it's cool. But whatever. But like it is traumatic to the average person. Like, let's be real. Like, the average person, like, that didn't happen. I can tell you why.
Yeah. And so I feel that we just go there and we just do our best to do our interview first. Do everything we can during that time to do, original readings if we can. But if not, at least get a talk with them and get them to understand that we're there for them.
Sure.
And that what we are going to do is we're going to look for the things that they say are happening, come up with ideas that why they could be happening, and if we don't know what they are, we'll explain to them that as well. But the main thing we're trying to do is just comfort them the best we can with what we can do.
So are you telling me that basically you're trying to like make a bridge between the living and the dead and heal both of them on both sides?
If there's a possibility, because when we go in our, this is my personal kind of feeling when we're doing the investigation. When we're doing the investigation, when I'm doing the EVPs, I'm actually trying to make whoever's there feel comfortable and know that we're not there to intrude on them, and that we just want to help. And so,
right. It's almost like saying a prayer before you walk in on the ground. Even as a psychic, I come in and I'm like, hey, I'm not here to like intrude. I'm here to like be a part of your story. Tell me your story. I'd be honored.
Exactly. If we can get anything out of that, the voices or the entities that are there that show that need listening to or help or whatever, or to comfort the people who are having these issues with them, to not be afraid of them, then that's what we try and do. So
we're just here to tell your stories and help them move on.
Exactly. You
know, well, see, and the thing is our slogan since I opened this team over back in 2020 was, our goal is to put clients' minds at ease and help the dead find the light. So basically, what I mean by that, I'm a clinical psychologist that talks to the dead. How often do you hear that? Right. See, what my intent was when I made that slogan is the whole reason that I started a team was to help people. And when I say people, spirits used to be people, right?
Yeah.
They used to be just like us.
Well, I think what's weird for me, like having a clinical psych degree, like I work with the living and the mental aspect. I work with the dead on the mental aspect. So like for me, I gotta legit be that bridge.
Yeah.
And what's weird to me is watching both sides heal from both sides passing over.
Yeah.
That is the weirdest moment in life that you'll ever see. I can promise you that. It is insane. But if that's what we're here to do, if we're here to help the living, if we're here to help the dead, however we got a bridge, we got to do that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's no reason to feel like that everything that you don't understand paranormally is evil. Is going to trying to harm you. Sometimes they're just trying to get a little bit of attention,
oh well, yeah. I learned that this weekend. I will never watch myself live again, ever again, because I watched Global Ghost Hunt. I watched the Global Ghost Hunt. Nope. If I answer before the machines, that's too freaky for me. Well, I'm not going to do that no more. But yeah, whatever's out there is out there.
Yeah.
And yet we have this responsibility as hunters, as researchers, as whatever, to bring them to peace and rest.
Yeah.
We really do.
So the other question was how we set up the night. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Setup.
Yeah.
I'm sorry about that, guys. My daughter was playing with my phone and called the cops.
Oh, no.
Oh, well, sounds like your co-host.
Yeah. So,
I guess I'm spending time with your family.
So basically, Cara says they were people too. Well, most were, so they deserve respect the same as the living. That is why I hate provoking.
Oh yeah.
Right, and I agree with that 100%. Because I've had other teams come in and crash their stuff and provoke, and I get the hands of it. I get the wrath of it because I came there already first and foremost saying I'm not going to do this to you.
Yeah,
and because I violated that territory when I walked in, I said I'm not going to do this to you. And somebody else did, I got the wrath of it.
Yeah, and and I think that also keeps us from being able to get some investigations because people think that's what you're going to do. You're going to go in there, you're going to provoke, and
right? But it does. I mean, it does make funny moments like dick rollery. Yeah, I'm
NC-17, everybody.
But at the same time, when you got a little medium like me, I'm a little medium. I'm like child size. When you get me in there and you're provoking spirits, you need to realize who you're really provoking.
Yeah.
Because they're coming at me as a little one.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Exactly.
And not only because you're the little one, but they feel that you're the first one they should come to because you can understand them better than we can.
And I
I
already
mean,
made a promise.
the thing
I wasn't
is,
going to
Sarah,
come across like that. I came
the
across
thing
like I
is,
wasn't going to do that.
not to cut you off or anything, but the thing is you can automatically, like, as well as Rochelle, if she's watching, you can automatically tune into the spirit world as soon as we step on the property of a venue. We, however, I have a little bit psychic ability, so I'm not in tune with my ability everywhere we go. We have to wave around pieces of equipment just to get these people to
How was your
communicate.
boyfriend in the bathroom?
We're not going to, we'll talk about that later. So, long story, Jim. I apologize.
Sorry.
Basically, we took a trip to Iowa last weekend, and we had an investigation over there. On the way back, we stopped at a store, and immediately when we pull over, Sarah can feel that the place has activity. Soon as, and she predicted.
What did I say to you? Have fun in the bathroom.
Yeah, she says have fun in the bathroom. So I go to the bathroom because it's a long drive. So I stop to use the bathroom. Everything is just fine. I get done with whatever I'm doing, flush my toilet, and then the urinal across from me goes off for no reason.
Oh, wow.
So it was just crazy. I'm like, how the heck did she just predict that? You know? So, but yeah, I don't remember what town Iowa that is, but they claim Iowa is one of the most haunted states. So
thank God for turn up a spirit like me.
Is that where the axe murder house is?
Oh, the Viscala Axe Murder House. That's
we were in the Victorian venue.
So the Viscala Axe Murder House is actually in Illinois, I believe.
Oh, okay, okay, all right.
Yeah, which we will be going there.
Let me look down there. That'd be fun for me.
Oh, we will be going to Illinois in October, so that's gonna be a lot of fun. But
I want to do an Axe Murder House, please.
All I know is that Iowa has a lot of different things, and the place that we went was, you know, it was active, but I'm sure there's a lot more places just like it, maybe more activity.
Marcus, we're setting up cameras after bedtime because apparently I get fucked with after bedtime.
Sure, absolutely. Well, Jim, I'm going to move on to the next question because we do have another show after. What's that?
Okay. Oh, I was going to say, yeah, we didn't do the setup like you were asking about what our setup is.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and So what's your pre-investigation setup? How do you go through a process?
Like on the night we get there to do an investigation?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So, of course, we might always do a pre-investigation and interview. And then when we do come in, we make sure we got everything. For me, it's going to be setting up, going through doing baselines as far as EMF goes for the different rooms. And then we go ahead and we'll put up static cameras in particular spots that they've reported things that are going on. We also try and put a voice recorder and everything. Main thing we try and do is we're trying to say if we get a voice in here or if we get a movement in here, we want to verify that it's getting visual and audio on there that we can confirm.
Sure.
It's a lot of stuff to put in there, but I would rather make sure, hey, we've got this all going on at the same time. If I've got an extra EMF meter, I put it in there that's visible. So we can see if it's going off or if we're not in the room. For me, this is important if something happens when we're not in the room as it is that we are in it at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
But everything is always double viewed. It's going to be make sure that when we're doing it, when we've got an EVP session going on, it's going to be recorded. If anything happens, as long as it's in our sight, we're going to catch it. Now, we're not always going to get everything, but I like making sure that if someone says, oh, I'm being touched or whatever, I want to make sure I've got a camera on them to make sure and see if there's anything we can see.
Right, right.
We don't have any heat sensing thing or anything like that, but at the same time, we've definitely had people being touched during certain times. We're trying to make sure, okay, what were you wearing at this time? Could have been possibly something moving on you, such and such. We also have make sure that if there's any other kind of little experimental things we can do to see what might happen, like using a compass or something like that, to see if that changes magnetic fields or something like that. I'm not adverse to trying little things like that. But as far as everything else goes, well, if we have security cameras, we can set them up. We set up security cameras. If we have, anything that we can, if we have power, we adjust to that, to what we have, and depending if we can plug cameras in or if we have battery cameras, that's what we do. Of course, that tends to shorten the time you do the investigation. But if you have an indoor location where it's actually got a plug-in, you can have that thing run all night. So that's my main concern. Am I covering?
It sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah, if you can, my thing is if I can cover everything, then that means while that's happening, we can concentrate on the investigation ourselves while we're there. And for me, it was also a matter of us enjoying spending time with one another while we're doing this at the same time. I wanted everybody to feel comfortable while we were doing it.
Well, and I think you hit on a good point. Like when we're all doing this, like Marcus and I went on a road trip recently with my twin. That was interesting, but we become a family. We really do. We really bond on all this.
Yeah.
We become family on a whole new level. Like, you got to protect me, I'm going to protect you. Like, yeah, it becomes a whole new level of things.
Yeah. What's interesting is when we first met the people, the first group we had wasn't all that close, but afterwards we got we kind of rotated the group. I was the only one originally left in there. And it got super close during that time. Everybody had certain things happen in their life that brought them to this place, and we were super close as a family. And then they drifted away, and actually then that's when my wife and then my kids joined us. So at the end, when we stopped doing investigations, it was me, my wife, and my 3 kids that were doing the investigations. So it was truly our family at that time. And then I got sick, and I was not able to continue doing it anymore.
Right.
But
that is
very
awesome.
We found it very relaxing. Following one another, and we did it the best to support each other. And I think that's where we found it was another group where you were supporting each other while you were in a situation that could be kind of, hectic and stuff like that. So,
right.
So, what would you think of training kids in this field?
I never let any of my kids get into it before they were 18 years old. So until they were 18, they didn't get in there. They would help me maybe go through evidence if they could, but I never had them go out in the field with us. And so that was just a personal preference. In fact, I didn't want to get into investigating or anything like that till after my kids were a little bit older, because I didn't want to take the chance of bringing anything home with me.
Sure.
And so me personally, just by the way I did it, I didn't allow my kids to go with us, but it didn't mean that I kept them out of what was going on. They knew what I was doing. I explained to what I was doing. They saw what I was doing. I just didn't have them on the actual investigations with me.
So are you saying your kids know the tools?
They know what?
Do they know the tools?
Like just the tools.
EMF, like all that, spirit balls.
Yeah. In fact, even now, my daughter's a mechanic, so she probably knows more than I do. My son's an IT for the county and stuff like that. So all these guys have grown into that thing. So I don't know whether it was because I was doing all this stuff beforehand, but they've all turned into very scientific based tools. Even my oldest son, he's into robotics. So
wow.
I told him, okay, you guys need to help me develop tools that we can take on our investigations.
Right.
And I think you actually hit on a good point. Like, many people don't realize what we do is actually scientifically based.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Like clinical psych, like a lot of the home-based robotics, like a lot of that stuff, we're actually scientifically based.
Yeah, and I loved when watching all these shows. One of the main thing I enjoyed as much as the investigations themselves was what new things people were thinking of. How do we get readings from something that we can't see? Right? How can you get scientific proof that there was something there in front of me? I can't see it. I can say that my skin felt it, but that's a personal kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Something that shows, no, see, this shows that this temperature changed. This shows that.
Well, and like I said, I will never watch myself live again because it's eerie to me. What I felt before it even was read, like, it is insane the amount of stuff that's out there. I am a Wiccan, but I believe in demons. I believe in angels. I believe in God. Like, it is insane the amount of crap that's out there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, you figure all the different civilizations that have been around, right? They all have had the same belief at one time. They all developed their own beliefs, their own sense of what's an angel, what's a demon, what's good, what's
Right.
bad, you know.
And we can all never be right at once.
Exactly.
Right. Right.
It's like, you know what? So a demon hasn't always been known as something that's devilish, right?
Right.
Right.
It's been known as something that's just simply out of this world, or you know, that's so when people put immediately, like a lot of these shows, they show, oh no, demon. It's kind of like, okay, just because it says a demon, does that mean it's
well, it's like being a good witch or a bad witch in my case, because
Exactly.
I am not either witch. I'm the gray witch. I'm the one walking between both those lines.
You know, so and that's where I have a hard time sometimes when I see this, because they're like, so many people, there's so many different things out there that we don't have any idea. We think that we can put them in either black or white or something like that. We can't do that, because
Right.
you look at, say, elemental spirits, those aren't either one of those things, right?
Right.
So it's difficult sometimes when you see people look at it only from a certain point of view, but it's nice that people are looking at it from multiple views, because what a person might say, I need a blessing at my house, a Christian blessing may not do it, depending on what is occurring there, right? And in some places we found that they've needed a Native American, because in our areas we have so many Native American locations.
I walk in my specialty, so yeah.
And so that's, you know, where we've seen where if you can't have one, you kind of have to do a different one.
Well, and you know, and here's the thing with sage. I don't think people realize how Native American sage is, but it's universal. It's become very universal. But like you're right. So like when I walk on certain properties, like I have that Catholic background. I am also Ojibwe, I'm Anishinaabe, I am Gypsy, I am whatever. But like I have to realize the ground I'm walking on.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I completely agree.
And the spirits that come forth are going to come forth and tell me their story right away. And that's the ground I got to respect. It's not even about my time.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's the thing. I mean, you don't know when this occurred. You don't know what language they're speaking. That you could be talking to them and they don't know.
Right.
You know.
Right. Exactly. So Jim, what makes Idaho a good place if someone would have came to take a paranormal tour of the state?
I think,
or if I were to haunt the state.
I really feel probably the main things you're looking at is the Old West kind of stuff. Those are the kind of things, the old mining places. Again, the Boise State Penitentiary. For me,
that'd be fun. I personally want to rock that one. I'll go with your team. If you're paying me to come there with Minnesota Spirit Hunters.
Yeah, me personally, so in Idaho Falls, it was, and I don't know if you guys got places like this there as well, and all around us, honestly, where back in like say the late 1800s, early 1900s, there was a lot of trafficking, right, of different things, lots of
like bootlegging and stuff.
Exactly, the underground kind of stuff, right?
As long as we're clear, okay.
As someone who grew up here, I didn't know all this stuff, you know, and then as I got older, I started hearing more and more about it. And then we had a flood in 1976 that kind of wiped out a lot of stuff. And then when they were rebuilding, they've kind of brought this out a little bit more. And they talked about what they called Old Town. And we had 3 or 4 different investigations there where...
I feel like this should be a lot of fun for us. And I feel like if I'm going to be on this investigation, I need to lock the fuck out because it'd be fun for me.
And so there was this whole system of underground tunnels that people were moving stuff around, right?
Fun for me. Fun for me.
You know? And then you look at the second, third floor of the buildings. That's where they were having the more, I don't know, gentlemanly things going on up there, as far as, you know,
like the parlors, like the parlay.
Exactly. Yeah. And so what we found in a couple of our investigations is that these things still kind of had that residual thing going on there, to where there was still those kind of feelings going on. We went to a bar that still had that feeling. The bars are still having someone coming in. In fact, one of the things was this one guy kept sitting down in the same seat in a location. They would see him from the side of when they would look to the side, but when they looked directly, he was gone.
Excuse me for a minute, Kara. We're gonna have a conversation later. I love you, but we're gonna have a conversation later.
She had to throw a potato joke in there.
Sorry.
We actually have a vodka distillery that's about 20 miles from us that makes vodka from potatoes. So,
Huh.
Right.
So,
Okay.
Here's a question, Jim. This is completely off subject, but are potatoes really used as much as people talk about them, or no?
Well, I guess it depends on what you think. I mean,
You're asking a man from Idaho this?
We've got. So I actually have fields around us right now, and around where my mother-in-law, they're just huge. But the main thing is that we have also huge factories that's all they do all day long, 24 hours a day, is make mashed potatoes, French fries.
So here's what you gotta tell Marcus.
What's that?
Tell Marcus is dick rollery.
God. Weird joke.
Okay.
About her. She's here. I can fix this for us, Jim.
I see how it is.
But that's super exciting, and Idaho would be a amazing place to go. With that being said, what is coming up next for Southeastern Idaho Paranormal Society?
Well, at the moment, there's not a whole lot going on. I think we spoke before. I got ill. I've had cancer twice in the past couple of years. And so it's really affected me from being able to go out and do stuff. And, the family's busier now. So, it's difficult for me to find places to do investigations that I can actually get to easily.
So what if we were to come to you and find a place? Would you like to come with us?
Sure. The main thing is, like I said, I have to have a wheelchair and stuff like that now. I didn't have to before.
You're fine. You're in good hands. Trust me, you're in good hands.
Oh, yeah.
We've done group homework. We've done group homework. We're good. Yeah, we're good.
With me, at least. I don't know about Sarah. She's something else.
Oh, wow.
So we're actually only 17 hours away from Idaho Falls. So it's not too bad.
Only 17 hours. I love you.
Only 17.
I'm talking with you. We know that.
I'm sorry. 6 hours. 6 hours was a long drive, especially with Sarah in the back.
You don't mean that was full of nothing but entertainment? Well, you didn't listen to the radio or anything.
We got it.
Oh, we got to listen to the radio, baby.
I just had to listen. All I had to do was listen to Sarah and her twin talk. That's it. So, but considering we have another show after this one, so we're gonna wrap up here soon. But right. Jim, I would like to invite you back to the show because you're an exciting guest. You have cool stories and all that, and I'd just love to hear more. But
nothing but healing light towards you, and I hope you get better really soon.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I would love to be back. You guys have been great. I love answering questions. So yeah, feel free to I'd love to tell stories. So and here's some of your guys too.
Well,
feel free to drop me your address. I'll send you a crystal to heal yourself.
So in case our viewers are feeling the same way as us and they enjoyed you being a guest on our show, where can they find Southeastern Idaho Paranormal Society?
Right now mostly it's on Facebook.
Okay. And the link is below, everybody.
Yeah, links below. Unfortunately, it looks like they've done a lot of changes, so I need to update a lot of that stuff on there. I try to keep from being too active on it because I get a lot of requests for investigations, and we can't do them at the time. And a lot of times,
give yourself a little bit of a break. You're doing an awesome job.
Yeah. Well, and unfortunately, we get to do a lot of pre-work and trying to get them done, and then they cancel their investigations.
Oh.
And so this is a difficult area to get them.
Oh, no, trust me. I'm pissed at the dick rollery in our schedule lately, Marcus. Trust me.
And so we speak mostly with businesses if possible, or we go out and we actually look for maybe historical sites that we found that might be a little bit easier than actually doing individuals' homes and stuff like that.
Right.
The nice thing is for the past few cases that we've had, I haven't had to contact anybody. They've all came to me.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's the thing.
That's great.
Minnesota is huge, you know.
Yeah.
So people have come to me, and I haven't gotten any in the past month or so. But you know, I guess promoting is number one. And
You're
I was
just lucky
actually
to know
gonna
me.
tell you.
No, I'm just kidding. I'm
Yeah.
just being
Well,
just
I was actually going to tell you, Jim, that if you would like anything you would like to have promoted, we would love to promote you on Facebook, Instagram, whatever we got to do to get you some more people, you know?
Okay.
Yep.
All right. That'd be great. I'm not too worried about the moment till I get a little bit better.
Sure.
But after that happens, you know, I'd be more than happy. But until then, I try and answer questions when people contact us and stuff like that.
Sure. And like Sarah said, nothing but healing light and everything. And, you know, we're only a phone call or a message away. So if you ever want to talk, we're always here. So
same to you. Yeah. If you guys ever want to yak about something, just let me know. We'll be happy to talk with you.
I'm always happy to post on my Facebook page.
Okay.
So I guess my final question of the night would be, Jim, what would be one piece of advice for a newcomer in the field?
I would have to say is to go in, find out, be honest with yourself why you want to do it.
I would say don't trip over the loose board.
If you don't know why you're going into it, then it's going to be difficult for you to find what you fulfilled from it.
Kara says he was a great guest. I have more questions in the future. Thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Kara. For me, that's been the main thing. Is I went in with a certain thing I was looking for. It's changed along the way, and I'll be honest with you, it was one of my favorite things to do. And if I could have done this professionally, if I didn't never have to do anything else except for do this, I would love it. You know,
and I completely agree. There comes a point where you look at it and you go, "Yep, I love this. This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to have fun doing it." It becomes more fun. You know, it's a job.
Yeah,
right.
It's something it's one of the things I've really enjoyed doing, and yeah, I think you need to know why you're doing it, and be also open to the fact that your views might change after you get into it as well.
Absolutely.
Always get in a good group, right? Always get in a good group that goes with your philosophy.
Oh yes,
If you don't go into a group with your philosophy, it's very difficult to get those people in there. Then that means bringing people into your group, or you going into another group. Have to make sure you direct the right philosophy.
Absolutely. So, well, all right, Jim. Well, we appreciate you very much. Again, healing, love, and light towards you. Hopefully, you get better soon.
Hope you feel better, bud.
I'll try my best. Thank you. You guys.
We'll rock an investigation. I promise.
All right.
Absolutely. Well, keep in touch, Jim, and I will definitely keep in touch with a new date for you to come back on. It won't be until next season, but we'll definitely get you on.
Hey, that's great. If anybody who's listening just wants to ask questions, they're welcome to message to our team. So, I try and answer them as much as I can. So,
perfect. Well, everybody use the link below to contact. This is Southeastern Idaho Paranormal Society. If anybody jumped in at the last minute, please go back on our YouTube, check out the episode from the beginning, because we got some amazing facts and paranormal stuff from Idaho here. So, Jim, until next time, we hope you have a great night. And
thank you, Jim. Lots of love and healing light.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks,
Happy hunting.
All right.
Happy hunting. All right. So, and I agree with Kara here. He was a great guest. I thought you just
Marcus, I gotta piss really bad.
You gotta what?
Piss and smoke.
And we're still on air, so but I want to thank everybody for coming out, visiting Idaho with us. If anybody has a question for Jim or any of his team members, feel free.
Are you totally embarrassed psychic right now?
That's what I do. So, but well, we hope you guys all enjoyed the show and enjoyed our guest on this episode, and look forward to him coming back. So we can't end the show without doing one last thing. It is time for the ALL American question. If nobody knows what that is, each episode we do a question about the previous episode of MNSpiritCast. So I hope you guys.
But not the previous.
What's up?
Not the previous.
You'll
Just
see.
the previous.
You'll see. So, so the way it's going to work is that each week there will be a different question, and the question will be about last week's show. So you really got to pay attention because it can literally be anything. It could be something one of us said, or the guest said, or something. So,
or random me.
Right. And then at the end of the season, at the end of season 4, whoever has the most correct answers to the All American question will get a hand-picked item from Minnesota Spirit Hunters. So hopefully
you are such a game show host.
It's going to be a great gift. So we'll jump into that right now. Did you say something?
Yeah, I'm being a smartass.
Oh, okay. Well, so not last week. We didn't do a show last weekend. But the weekend before we did Hawaii, and the weekend before that we did Florida.
You know, right?
Well, the question from Florida was, what was the piece of equipment that Peter used on screen in last week's episode? Sarah, do you remember?
No, I don't.
Okay. Well, if anybody, I know one person answered correctly on Facebook. So congratulations.
It was EMF?
What's that?
EMF?
It was not. So the correct answer to that one is actually the dowsing rods.
Oh yeah. Something I don't use.
And then sorry, kids.
You're in trouble.
And then so from the Hawaii episode, how many tours a year does Hawaii get? How many tours a year does Hawaii get based on what Joe said?
Over 1 million.
Yes, of course. But the only way to correctly answer this question is to go on our Facebook post that I will be posting after the show and answer that. And then there will be an answer on our next
Over 1 billion?
So how many tours a year does Hawaii get based on what Joe said? So hopefully you remember, because our next show is literally in a few minutes. So
and I gotta zip that up.
Get your answers in now, and I'll let everybody submit answers live on the next show. So everybody, thanks for watching the show. Cara, free merch. So kinda, you'll see. But so hopefully
I want some free merch. I don't want free merch. No, that's not.
But hopefully everybody enjoyed the show. Our little visit to Idaho, definitely a bucket list state to go to. Unfortunately, it's not in our state game anymore. Which, by the way, guys, round 45 is tomorrow. So we have 5 states.
I got some beef. I got some beef. Louisiana's out. I got some beef.
It's been out, so
I know. I got some beef about that.
This is super exciting because we literally have 5 more states starting tomorrow, and we're not going to tell you what the elimination is until 7:00 Central tomorrow morning. So
on Marcus time,
5 states remaining. So get your votes in, and let's get a state for us to go to. So, but so our next guest is waiting, so we're gonna go ahead and wrap up here. But hopefully everybody enjoyed the show. Look up that All American question. How many tours a year does Hawaii get based on what Joe said? So,
and we know it's over 1 million.
Think about it and submit your votes live on the next show, and we'll notify everybody when we go live for that show. So until then, happy hunting.